Welcome back to Fourth and Pain, the best pro wrestling show hosted by an NFL player and the weight loss champion. I am Chuck Carroll. He is Adam Carriker. And without further ado, here on Fourth Down, Adam, you have done it again. You have gone out and gotten us just the top tier of all guests. Who is our special guest today?
He really is, man. This is my favorite wrestler of all time, the man, Bill Goldberg. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. You know, it's so early in the morning, you really don't have to make a guy feel so good. But I appreciate it, dude. It's all good, man. All good out here. Sunny morning, 7:30 here on the West Coast. So it's awesome. It's all good.
Well, Goldberg, you know, one of the reasons I got so excited when Adam told me that you were going to be on the show was because, as it turns out, you actually played for his defensive coordinator, Jim Haslett, back in, I believe it was the World Football League. What was it like working with Haz?
You know, man, first of all, anytime you can compete on a level after your college days, it's an honor. Adam can tell you that. But to be able to win a world championship in the World Football League and to be coached by a defensive coordinator so cool as Jim Haslett, I had to pinch myself every day. Jack Youngblood was one of our D-line coaches, and Haslett was the D coordinator, and we just had a great time. I mean, anytime you can play before a coach that you respect because of his playing days and that you revere because of his mentality, and you know, you're an extension of him, obviously, by being a part of the defensive team. But it was an honor. It was probably the best football experience of my life.
Adam, did you share with Goldberg the story of how we came to find out that these two were linked up a little bit?
I don't think I did tell him. You know, you and I were eating at IHOP.
That's right.
We had a day off in training camp. We went to IHOP, and we ran into Haz. And Haz had no idea who you were, gave you an interesting look, especially a man of your stature. But, you know, so, and then everyone knows I'm a big wrestling fan. And so I'm explaining to Haz, you know, our relationship, you know, we're doing the show together. And then all of a sudden he starts to proceed to tell me, well, you know, I know Goldberg. And I'm like, really? That's awesome. You know, he's like the greatest wrestler ever. And, you know, so that was kind of how we got all hooked up. And Haz, he was a little nervous about me doing the show. He's like, no, you stay focused on football. He's like, you don't start messing up. I'm like, Haz, trust me, I'm focused. But, you know, I get a chance to talk about wrestling. I get a chance to talk to guys like Goldberg. I ain't going to pass that up.
There you go. So, Goldberg, let me ask you this. You've obviously been speaking with Adam a little bit here on Twitter this year, and knowing Haslett as a coach and knowing just the quality and the caliber of player Adam is. See, I'm putting you over.
I appreciate
it. The kind of guy that he is. What do you see in store for the Redskins this year? Obviously, they bring aboard RG3, a whole host of other new players. Have you been keeping an eye on them nationally?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time, man. You know, they obviously always want to be the best team that they can be, but, you know, throughout the past probably 10 years, they haven't been that. But I think with the talent that they have, with the schedule coming up, and, I mean, there's nothing but a bright future for the Redskins now. I think they've turned things around. I think it's nothing but happy days ahead and a lot of pain for all their opponents.
Now, I know you live out there in the West Coast. It's a little early for you this morning. We appreciate you calling in. But who are some of the teams that you root for? Like, who's your favorite NFL teams that you follow weekly?
Man, you know, Adam, when you get done, you'll figure this out, man. It's tough. I mean, I got so many buddies who play in the league and who now coach in the league because of my age. It's not really that I turn the TV on Sunday and root for a specific team. I'm one of those guys that just roots for a good game, man. I mean, obviously, I'm pulling for the Redskins now. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, I live here in San Diego. I got a number of friends on the Chargers. Do I pull for the Chargers every Sunday? No. I just pull for good, entertaining football games, man. At the end of the day, you know, you hope that the team that deserves it wins. But, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't always work out like that. But, you know, I'm just a fan of the game. I'm not necessarily a fan of the specific team.
Now, I know you played D-line at Georgia. And how long were you able to play post your college football career? And then how does one go from, you know, playing football and working into professional wrestling?
All I ever wanted to do as a kid was play pro ball. That was the dream that I had. I was lucky enough to be drafted by the Rams. Unfortunately, I wasn't that first-round draft pick, such as yourself, Adam. But I was drafted when they still had 11 or 13 rounds or something like that. So, like I said, I was just lucky to be one of those 1,200 guys to be on a team. I was cut from the Rams, picked up, played in the World Football League, and then went to the Falcons 3 weeks after the World Football League ended. Spent 3 years with the Falcons, tore my abdomen off of my pelvis, and then unknowingly was placed on the supplemental draft list for Carolina and Jacksonville as the 2 new teams out. And Carolina picked me, and I basically showed up there 3 weeks after I had my stomach reattached. It wasn't, for 11th round draft pick, a guy who's got to try to beat everybody up on every single play just to get noticed. I didn't think it was the right time for Dom Capers to be putting a team together with a guy like myself, isn't there? So I became the first guy cut from the Carolina Panthers, and to be perfectly honest, it was probably the best decision of my life. Fast forward probably about a year, I get a phone call from my accountant saying, hey, Goldberg, how you doing? Life's good, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, it's great. He goes, well, you need to get off your ass and go do something. Because you didn't become a multi-millionaire playing football. And so, one thing led to another. I had seen a number of the WCW guys out on the town for my 3 years that I was at the Atlanta Falcons. Years prior to that, when I was at Georgia Bulldogs. And, I was kind of between a rock and a hard place, and I chose to make that leap and put my underwear on and wrestle in front of millions of people. So I was in the right place at the right time, man. It was something that I never really dreamed of doing by any stretch, because I was always singularly focused on becoming an NFL player. But like I said, I was in the right place at the right time. I had, a couple guys lead me in the right direction, and the rest is kind of history.
We're speaking to Goldberg on Fourth and Pain. And Goldberg, we just talked about how you got into pro wrestling a little bit, but let's talk about the streak and how that came to pass, and how exciting was that time for you as a pro wrestler during the height of the Monday Night Wars, and you really were the man at that time. How did that whole undefeated streak come to pass?
I think between Tenay and Bobby Heenan, I think it was something that they came up with. In all honesty, the character development, the crowd reaction, the squash matches, that all just kind of came to be. I see what other companies are trying to do to emulate the streak, and the reality is it's hard to really duplicate something like that actually came about by chance. By accident. It all kind of happened as it was going on. I don't believe it was a pre-planned theme to give me an undefeated streak for a year or however long a period of time it was. It was just it gained momentum week after week after week, and they just wrote it out. Like I said, I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. 6 to 8 months after I got in the business, I had the belt around my waist.
I'm still upset about how that streak ended. With a taser? Really? Come on. That still upsets me to this day. What is it, like 10 years later or 15 years later? I'm still upset.
So am I. But, I'm upset because they wouldn't let Scott Hall hit me with that one with the barbs in it, because that's what I want. I figured that if I'm going down, man, I want you to stick me for real. So, it is what it is, man. Weeks after Kevin Nash put on the booking committee, Kevin Nash gets beat. Hey, it is what it is, man.
Oh, hold on. Let's back that up. You actually wanted to be tased for real if you were doing the job that night?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hardcore.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah.
Adam can tell you, man. D linemen are a different breed. I truly believe that even 20 years past me playing football, I have the same mentality as I did back then. I'm sure Adam has it. You have to. You got to be a little nuts.
Yeah,
and
we're not.
The reality is, man, I want it as real as humanly possible. And if it means me taking 2 barbs in my chest on national TV to make it look real, then damn, let's do it, man. I'm all for it.
That's what
Maybe
I'm talking
that was
about.
my downfall, but it is what it is, man. Hey, right when they knocked on my door, I didn't fake headbutt every door and every locker and every training room that we were at. And I went full bore, man. I was in it to win it. That's for sure.
No, that's what I'm talking about. He's right. Us D-line, we're not normal. We got a few screws loose. We're too athletic to be O-linemen, but we're not quite smart enough to be like tight ends or anything like that. So, we just run around and just try to kill people, basically.
Yeah, well, I still think that you're going to get your shot in the red zone this year. I'm just holding out hope.
I'm hoping for it. They better not put me in the block, though. I'll be upset.
Hey, Goldberg, here's kind of the generic question that I'm just curious about. Your favorite match of all time, you had so many, but is there one that really stands out for you?
I always liked working with the Steiner brothers. I loved working with them. Dallas Page, the match that Dallas and I had in Halloween Havoc one year when, he wanted me to spear him like 15 times in the damn match. It turned out to be a pretty darn good match, man. I ended up knocking myself out when I ended up spearing him. Was able to finish the match. But I mean, the Hogan match at the Georgia Dome, I mean, hey, that night at the Georgia Dome was the coolest thing in the world, not because I was able to win the world championship, not because it was in front of 44,000 people, but it was in front of the crowd that used to cheer us on at the Falcons. It was in the stadium. It was in the stadium, the dome that I played the first game at the Falcons. At the end of the night, Jesse Tuggle, Drone, Chuck Smith, all the guys came out to save me at the end of the night for that 1 second. The guys that I revered and the guys that I respected and the guys that I looked up to, the guys that make all pro, the guys that are able to start every week and just kick ass, wanted to be where I was. And so for me, that was really the coolest moment of my professional life because the people that I looked up to wanted to be me. It was really cool. So.
I remember that match very well. Obviously I was a big Goldberg fan, and he won the title for the first time. But here's my question, and I've asked you this on Twitter before. I don't know if you remember, but is there a comeback in your future? I want to see Goldberg. I want to see a comeback. Is that possible?
I got my 46th birthday coming up this year, and I swore that I'd never even considered past 40 years old, but man, I'm in the gym every night. I'm sparring 3 days a week, man, at my Muay Thai gym, and I got to tell you, man, I'm in some pretty damn good shape. Would I consider doing it again? Man, I got a 6-year-old boy who every day, asks me if I'm going to be a wrestler anymore. Would I consider it? Absolutely. Would it have to be the right situation? Absolutely. You look at Brock coming back. Would I consider it? There's no question about it. But is it something that I'm longing for? Absolutely not.
Well, you talk about the perfect situation. Here's the last question. What would that perfect situation be? Who would be that perfect opponent?
And I really don't know. I mean, I haven't kept up with the business throughout the years. Obviously, I'd love to have a rematch with Brock again so that we could kind of erase our last WrestleMania 20 match. Obviously, I'd love to wrestle Austin. That's a dream match that I think everybody in the world would like to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Undertaker, there's no doubt. He and I've never tangled before. These new guys, man, I don't know too much about them, so I really can't throw any of their names into the hat except for the new Goldberg guy.
Talk about Ryback, yeah.
Hey, and just to touch on that, I mean, hey, it's an honor. It's an honor to have anybody try to emulate anything that you're doing. The reality is, don't bash this dude because he's only doing what people are telling him to do. But man, there can only be one Goldberg, dude. So just give it up. Something else, man. I don't want him to be brought down and be remembered by trying to emulate, somebody else. I mean, that's not a cool existence. But hey, man, they had a reason for doing every single thing that they do. Don't think for 2 seconds that, if they didn't want to hear the Goldberg chant, they wouldn't pipe them out. So there's an ulterior motive somewhere, Adam. I don't know what it is, but I'm just here like everybody else.
I completely agree. There can only be one Goldberg, man. And, Ryback's impressive, but there can only be one the man.
And that's why it was so cool to have you on the show this morning. Goldberg, thank you so very much for your time, my friend.
It was an honor, guys. Anytime you need me, Adam, you just look me up, dude, and I'll be up in the Washington area. Please, I will contact you, man. I'd love to come out and practice, see the guys. I'd love to see Hazlitt, meet our G3, man, and give you guys a good luck handshake, man. I appreciate it very much. You guys are doing a cool thing here, and keep up the craziness for the D-line, but, man, that's all I got to say. Dude, what the hell are you doing coming from Hastings, Nebraska?
Would you just Google me or something? Yeah, I've been all over the place. Dude, I was Nebraska, Washington.
Dude, I do the Sand Hill Open Road Challenge, man. I stayed in Hastings.
Oh, okay.
There is nothing in Nebraska. The only thing I think that I found smaller is Arnold, Nebraska, where the race is actually held. But I'm an Oklahoma boy, so, man, big ups to you Cornhuskers, man. Big time.
Well, there is something smaller than Hastings, Nebraska. It's Brule, Nebraska, where my wife grew up, and the sign going into the town says 400 people, and I think that's a little gross overestimation. There's like not even a stop sign. Like you drive through the town, you blink once, and it's gone. So there are little towns out there. Trust me.
Nice. I know. I've wrestled in most every one of them.
All right, Goldberg on 4th and Pain, thank you so much. And with that, in the great words of Tony Schiavone, we are fresh out of time. Thank you so very much for believing in our weirdness.
I'm Adam Carriker. I've got the largest arms on the D-line. Peace out, home skillet.